Hey guys, FilthyRobot here, continuing our campaign with Arumba and EU4, where you were telling me we made 2 years.
Yeah, 2 whole years almost. We're 2 months shy of 2 years right now.
That's
Started
so good. We're
in
so fast. Are we the fastest players to ever play this game, you think?
no, by far no. That was 5 episodes and we're on 2 years in.
Oh, I thought that was
Let's
good.
let's wait at least here until our navy is in Irisher,
And
and we'll
how young were you when you started playing this game?
in general, it was 3 years ago when the game came out.
Okay. And that's just been one game you completed or more?
Just the one. Yeah. All right. So our navy is in Irisher. Let's go ahead and group them up. Go ahead and box select the 18 navies,
Yep.
18 ships.
Actually, I
and
got
then
this. Okay, got them now.
press the G key to consolidate the two armies into one. So now they're a singular navy. They'll move together.
Okay.
Next up, we need to talk about generals and actually being ready to declare war. So we've got this army, right? We've got 10,000 infantry. We got 3,000 cavalry, and they're going to be pretty good at their job. But we can put a leader in charge to make them even stronger.
We probably have to pay this leader, right?
Yes and no. We have to pay him, but in monarch points.
Okay.
So press F1 and then press the comma key to go to the military tab.
Okay.
You can see that we have below all of the unit information to the right, there's this thing where it says 0 leaders.
Yeah, 0-2.
0 to 2. So we're allowed to have 2 leaders. We have none currently appointed. And then at the very bottom of this interface, there's 3 different buttons that are allowed right now. We've got recruit a general, we've got recruit an admiral, and we've also got make a general out of your ruler.
Okay.
You see the ones that are available? The recruit a general costs 50 military points. The recruit an admiral costs 50 diplomatic points.
Okay.
Each of these will count as a ruler against the 0 out of 2 leader limit. Rulers do not count against the leader limit. So the advantage to making your ruler into a leader is that he will be a free leader, and if he's got a particularly high military score, he can actually be significantly stronger relative to the other generals you might be able to hire right now.
And
So
he doesn't. He's got a military skill of 2, which isn't particularly great. Okay.
Not that great, yeah. So he's not going to be particularly good. Plus, if you have your ruler as a general and he dies while you're at war or while doing a siege, you take an extra stability hit upon ruler death.
And we don't have a we don't have an heir, right? So
yeah, that would be bad.
Okay.
Normally, you lose 1 stability when your ruler dies, as a Catholic nation, or really as any nation that's under our government type. But you would lose 2 if you make him into a ruler. So it's really a desperation play or someone who's really, really strong. So we're not going to want to click any of these buttons because we're actually going to go and look at something completely separate, which
well, let me stop you before you do that. Quite yet, I just had a quick question. So so it says recruiting a general cost me 50 cross swords, and I see a cross swords icon at the top called military power by Scotland. Is that actually costing us 1/4 of our total military power to recruit a general?
Yes.
Okay. And
We've recruited 208 since the beginning of the game, and it would cost us 50 to hire him.
Okay, got it. Right.
If we had 3 out of 2 leaders, we would also spend 1 monarch point per month for every leader you are over your limit.
Okay.
So what we're going to do, though, is we're going to go in, we're going to interact with an estate. We haven't talked about this at all. I've tried to avoid it because it can be very confusing, and we don't want to interact with it too much because I just don't want to bog you down.
Okay.
But go ahead and press F1, then press the quotation key or the apostrophe key.
Okay.
That's the farthest rightmost tab, the estates tab.
Yep.
We've got 3 estates in our country. We've got the burghers, the clergy, and the nobility. Basically, these are, if you're not playing with all of the DLC that we're using every single DLC, you might not even have estates enabled. It's an extra content pack that Paradox did a while back. Having estates gives you various benefits. Provinces that are controlled by estates will have modifiers to them and stuff like that. But what we're going to do is we're just going to take advantage of the nobility right now. So you see that interactions button to the right of nobility?
Yep. Why? How did you get to knowing that it would be the nobility that you want to interact with here?
Just by reading them all. You can take your time if you want. I mean, you could even do some of these if you'd be interested in. Let's go from the top down. Why not? Go ahead and start with burghers.
All right.
So you open up the interactions with burghers. We've got a few options. Ask for contribution, grant monopoly charters, demand diplomatic support, etc.
Okay.
Notice how some of them are grayed out.
Yeah.
You don't meet the criteria to do it. So the 2 we can choose from right now, we could grant monopoly charters, which would sacrifice prestige to increase their influence and loyalty. We don't really want to do that because that would cost us prestige. We need the prestige for war because we want high morale of armies.
Yeah, but we could bleed them for cash.
Yeah, it would take their loyalty from 50 down to 40. The general range you want your estates to be in is between 40 and 60.
Okay.
As long as it's above 40, nothing's going bad. So 40 is actually a great threshold. Go ahead and ask them for some money. Great idea.
Give me money.
Do it. All right.
Okay.
Their loyalty is going to trend toward 50. So by not doing that interaction, you're actually missing out on a resource, which is the recovery rate you could be experiencing if they were below 50.
So they only recover when they're below 50. They don't go above that?
They trend toward 50. If they're
Okay.
above 50, they go down. If they're below 50, they go up.
Okay. In
So-
terms of how quickly they recover.
Just in general, they will always trend towards 50.
Okay.
The lower they are, the faster they recover.
All
The
right.
higher they are, the faster they go down.
So the clergy, let's go look at their interactions then.
Yeah.
We could give them money. That sounds less great.
Yeah,
We could seek
neither-
the support. We lose prestige and legitimacy.
Yeah. Neither of these the particular.
Why do we want to boost the? It says, all right, so both of those seem negative to me. It says, okay, we lose 5 prestige and lose 5 legitimacy, and the clergy estate gains 10 influence, and the clergy estate gains 15 loyalty. Is this setting up for making better use of their
Yes.
other ones? Okay.
Yep. So, for instance, there's some very notable breakpoints. Remember, I mentioned that between 40 and 60 is where you want to stay.
Yeah.
If you can get above 60 loyalty, then you actually get an extra modifier. So hover over. You see where next to the clergy it says national tax modifier plus 10%.
Yes.
If you hover over that, it says if loyalty is above 60%, we get national tax modifier plus 10, stability cost modifier minus 5, and yearly papal influence plus 0.5.
Okay.
So if we were to raise their loyalty to above 60, we would add the stability cost and the yearly papal influence modifiers. We don't currently have those because we're only between 40 and 60.
Yeah.
And you can also see the malice you would experience if you're below 40.
Okay. And let's go take a look at the nobility here.
Yep.
Called Diet.
And then one last thing, again, is that in order to be able to do some of these interactions, they have to have at least a minimum number of influence. Since they only have 20, by sacrificing some prestige and legitimacy, we could raise their influence to 30, which would unlock some more interactions.
Okay.
So, but the one we're really interested in right now, the only reason we're even looking at this at all, is we want to do grant generalship.
Okay.
This is going to give us a free general with 40 tradition. So we don't have to pay the 50 monarch points to hire him.
What is 40 tradition? What does that mean? Gain general 40 tradition.
It's going to pretend like our country has 40 army tradition when it spawns the general. So again, let's go back to the military tab, F1, comma.
Okay.
Top number below all the unit information is army tradition, 8.2.
Top number beneath all of. Sorry, say that again. Top number versus. No. Oh, I see it. Yep, got it. Army tradition.
So our army tradition is 8.2. And what that estate is saying is that it's going to spawn a general as if we had 40.
So it's a hell of a lot better than our current one we'd spawn.
Not only do we get him for free, but we also get him with much higher army tradition than we currently have.
And will and the army tradition I can see it says current effects, so it modifies things like all the things that we care about: siege ability, morale of armies, manpower recovery, army morale speed. Those are all going to get better with a higher traditioned general.
Yes, and one thing that it does not clearly indicate, but was actually released via the developers and is widely known now on the Wikipedia article for EU4, is that your army tradition also determines how good the generals you have will be. Okay. So I'm gonna tell you the math. Don't get bogged down with this. Just if you don't want to remember the math or you're not interested in the math, just for the viewer here, just know that bigger numbers are better. More army tradition is good. You want more army tradition. Okay? But the actual breakpoints are this. Every 20 army tradition, you get an extra guaranteed pip on your general. So if you have 20 army tradition, you get 1 extra guaranteed pip. You have 40 army tradition, you get 2 extra guaranteed pip. Since we have 8.2, we get 0 guaranteed pips. So just the fact that we get a 40 army tradition general from that estate interaction means we're guaranteed 2 pips. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, the calculation is as follows. A d6 is rolled. So you get a random value between 0 and 6. Beyond that, you get your guaranteed pips from army tradition. So you take your current value, which in this case was 8.2, divided by 20 is less than 1, so you get no guaranteed pips. So we're somewhere between 0 and 6 right now. Then you roll 8.2 out of 100, so you have an 8.2% chance to get 1 extra pip. So we could maybe have as many as 7. Then the last part is that you have a 50% chance to get 1 extra pip just because. So we could have as many as 8 pips if we got really lucky. We could also have as few as 0 if we were super unlucky. Although a general can't actually have none, so he would have 1. But
I'm gonna be totally honest. I did tune out some of that because I was reading the other interactions in the nobility, but I imagine that will be helpful at a later date when I want the details. So.
Yep. So for some people, it's really useful. Just know that the main thing, higher numbers are better, and be aware of the breakpoints. If you're at 40.1 army tradition and it's decaying over time, and you think you might need a general in the near future, you should hire now. Don't wait till you're at 39 or less.
Got it.
Because then you're going to miss out on your guaranteed pip. So go ahead and click the estate interaction.
Yep, I'm
and
there.
Hire a general for us.
Well, I was looking at this. So we could get a diplomat for this as well if we wanted to instead. So I was reading through this, and it looks like, because I was kind of curious, I'm like, why is this both giving us something and boosting their influence? But it looks like if they get too high of an influence, they have a chance to try to take over the country from us. Do we just
Yeah, that's
instantly
bad.
lose when that happens?
No, no, it's a disaster that can happen, and it's dangerous, and we're not going to let that happen.
Okay.
But granting generalship is going to raise their influence from 20 up to 76.4, which is still less than 80, so we're well within the safety threshold here.
Okay. I
So,
clicked it. Now they're at 76 influence.
Yep. Now notice how our manpower recovery speed actually just went up from 15% to 20%.
Yeah, okay.
There are breakpoints on the influence as well. If you are at less than 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, and above 60. So because we went above 60 influence, now we have an extra increased power to the nobility modifier. So that's why it's higher. It doesn't actually say that in the tooltips anywhere. I don't know why.
Okay.
Anyway, let's go check them out. Who do we get? We got Wallace Randolph.
Where did you find this?
225. Press F1, comma.
Okay, it's back on the military screen then.
Yeah.
All right, there he is. 225. Where do you? Okay, if I click on him, it's going to tell me 225. Because I currently I can see him, but
you see, it says the 1 leader now, 1 out of 2, and then you see how it's the 225. He's got 2 fire pips, 2 shock pips.
Oh, okay, yeah. They aren't numbers
pips.
for some reason here. These are actually pips. Got it.
Remember when I mentioned the word pip? It's a thing I've only ever experienced in these games. Is pips is in Paradox titles. So yes, he's got these pips.
Fire value of the unit is a measure of the amount of casualties the units will inflict in the fire phase of okay, we're going to clearly go through these. This is a fire phase, shock phase, and maneuver. Okay, yep, got it.
So real quick though, let's just take a look at this. He ended up with 9 pips, and he was guaranteed 2 from having 40 tradition.
Yeah.
Plus 1 because we actually are Scotland and we have a guaranteed shock pip, which we haven't talked about, but it's not a big deal.
Okay.
So he was guaranteed 3 pips, and he actually became a 9 pip general.
Sounds pretty awesome. We got really lucky.
What that means is that you are going to click all the buttons in the future because you're apparently you're my lucky charm.
Oh, you do not want to count on my luck to help you out in these games. This will be the first, last, and only lucky thing that will happen in this campaign.
That was a very good roll. It would have been a little bit better if we had more shock pips versus the maneuver pips, but still, 9 pips overall is very solid. Very good.
All right.
So let's do this. Let's go ahead and appoint him to our army. Go ahead and select the army.
Okay. Army is now selected. No, it's not. I've selected a different army.
Of the army interface, there's this little red highlighted box that says no leader.
Yep.
Go ahead and click on that and select Wallace Randolph. Put him in charge.
Okay.
And now you can see there's a little 1 star next to our 13K army, which indicates that there is a general in charge.
Okay.
Let's just briefly talk about these pips. The pips, the fire pip and the shock pip are combat related. They're only going to apply when you're fighting an enemy army. The maneuver pip is useful for negating river crossings, strait crossings, and stuff like that. But also, it's a hidden plus 25% movement speed. It's 5% movement increase for every 1 maneuver.
Okay.
So our army now moves 25% faster than it used to, which is very, very good.
When we're trying to run away from the English armies, you're saying?
Yes.
Got it.
And then we have 0 siege pips, which are useful for sieges only.
Okay.
So anyway, good job on that. Let's go ahead and declare the war. Go ahead and just do it.
I think we did. Didn't we already declare war?
No, we didn't. Not yet. We just spent all that time hiring a general.
All right. Okay. I'm clicking confirm to declare war on Tyrone. This is the place where we have the yellow bars, and because we have CB for doing that, we can do so.
Yep. Now notice how the army in Tyrone just turned red.
Yep.
1 day from today, Leinster's going to get their defensive call to arms, and they're going to turn red as well. Right now they're still gray because they haven't joined the war yet.
Could we have possibly moved our army into Ulster before declaring war to make it even less of a delay, so less chance of Leinster being to help them?
We could have. Unfortunately, because they are not a participant in the war, we would have been black flagged, which is basically where your army is where it's not supposed to be, and no, you can't do that.
Okay.
By being black flagged, you have to return to controlled territory, meaning land that you either own yourself.
And that's despite the fact we have military access. We just can't have an army hanging out there, even though we have military access. We have to have a reason for that military being there. I guess that makes some sense.
So we have the ability to go there now, and we will march through there, but we had to stay in Ayrshire in order to not get black flagged.
Got it.
So we're actually saving time by not trying to do what you did.
Do we need to use transports here? We don't, because we have a straight crossing, and this means because the other side is friendly and we have this side, we can just walk across this with no penalty? Because it is red. I thought it was going to change to a gray dotted one, like in the northwest of our lands.
The gray dotted one means that hover over Sutherland, or go to the Sutherland province.
Yeah.
Hover in the very
I just
top
told the army to fucking go there. Let's not let that happen.
Yeah, that's wrong. Click on Sutherland province. Top left corner of the province dialog. You see the little straight crossing indicator again. It's this little arrow over water.
Yes.
Hover over that and it'll tell you exactly why. The strait is currently passable to your troops. The narrow strait across Moray Firth connects this province to Orkney, and this strait is currently passable. So, an enemy fleet may block control unless both sides are under Allied control. So because we control both sides, that's why that one's gray. We don't control both sides of the Ulster-Ayrshire Strait. That's why it's red.
Okay.
So he could blockade us. If his navy was stronger in the Irish Sea, we wouldn't be able to go there. That's why we've put our navy here to guarantee we can cross the strait.
Okay. Well, even though he's
also
given
has
us active military access, would he potentially have given us active military access and then simultaneously be blockading the strait with his army, with his navy rather?
No. Even though Ulster's giving us military access, he is not a participant in the war, and it's not controlled territory.
Okay.
We have military access through it, but it's not controlled. Therefore, blockades are possible.
All right.
So we're gonna just go ahead and march across here. Let's go back down to speed 2.
But it wouldn't be Ulster blockading us. It would be someone in the Irish Sea who was hostile. It would be Tyrone.
Tyrone's navy would
Got
have to
it.
be better than ours and positioned in the Irish Sea.
But why? But the Irish Sea. Okay, so the Irish Sea actually is both sides of the strait. Got it. Okay.
Yep.
The eye was looking a little bit like a border symbol to me, but no.
So our army has now arrived in Ulster.
Okay.
You can actually see the progress indicator again if you hover over the numbers there. So remember how I mentioned we're probably going to be able to engage the armies separately?
Yeah.
Looks like Leinster is. Notice how Leinster's army is not fully green.
Yeah.
He wasn't at full maintenance, and so he's waiting for his morale to be better before he tries to join up with Tyrone.
Okay.
And we were at full maintenance because we knew we were going to declare.
Yeah.
So we do get to pick off these armies a little bit separately.
Awesome.
So I'll let you do the first thing here. Go ahead, just send them towards Tyrone. Do it. Let's do it.
Actually, I have two thoughts here. There's another. I see a Tyrone fleet up there. It looks weak. There's
So
one ship.
One ship, but notice how close it is to the land.
Okay.
It's actually in port, which means that we can't kill it
Okay.
unless we siege the province, and then that'll force the navy out to sea.
So is this now a combat interface, or am I? So when I, hey, pause. How is this boat moving? Please. Oh, you're moving it. Okay.
I just did it. Yeah.
Yeah. My bloody boat cheating. All right. So am I right clicking on his army or into his terrain, or what am I doing on the province?
You don't. Yeah. You never click on armies. They're just saying go into that province.
Okay.
Notice how we make it a crossing penalty. Go ahead and press the Q key.
Q key.
You see a bunch of forests and stuff. Press the Q key again.
Okay.
Now we're in the simple terrain map mode. We can see here that Tyrone has a woods terrain type, which is a negative penalty for us. There's also a river. There's like a blue line between these two provinces.
Okay.
There's a river crossing between these. But because we have 5 maneuver, and his general is a 1-2-2, we have superior maneuver than him.
Okay.
So we will negate the river crossing penalty.
Okay. Where would I have seen the river? I mean, I see the river, but I just need to know that in general, rivers give me a river crossing penalty.
Yep.
Okay.
If you cross a river and you have less maneuver or equal maneuver to the defending general, you will experience a -1 penalty.
Okay.
If you have more maneuver than them, you negate it, and if there is no river, then of course there's no penalty.
Okay.
Straits are a -2 penalty, and landing from a sea tile is also -2.
All right.
And that one's actually always experienced. I don't think you can negate that even with high maneuver. Okay, one last thing we're going to do here. We're going to grab our 18 ships. We're going to send them out to the North Channel. Reason for that, as you noticed, is that their navy is hiding in the port of Tyrone. That is the sea tile that his port exists on.
Okay.
If we want to blockade Tyrone, we need to put our navy in that sea tile. We cannot blockade the Irish Sea.
Are we worried about? Okay, so I guess there is more navy down south from his ally. I see 3 down there. Could they also have boats running around that we don't know about somewhere?
Great option, or great question. See the bottom right hand, very bottom of the screen. There's a new little flag.
Yeah.
The Scottish conquest of Tyrone. That's our war overview. Left click on that to open it up. We're hidden in. Oh, damn it! In multiplayer, apparently this information is hidden. If we were not playing in multiplayer right now, you'd actually be able to see exact stats for what he has.
Okay.
You still can find this information by going into the ledger, which I'll do really quickly. F1, you press L, F3, and then go to the right one. You can see the total navies. L, F3, right 1, page 19.
Okay, navies. And it's just sorted by country name, it looks like. And who are we fighting again? Tyrone, right? And the other guy. So if I scroll down.
Leinster.
Yeah, scroll around to Tyrone.
Leinster has 3 ships, and Tyrone has only 3 ships as well.
2 light ships and a transport.
Okay. Our navy is very superior. They're not even going to try to engage us. So.
But we only see one of them. Could their light ships be doing something annoying in the meantime?
Not really, no.
Okay.
We have significantly more troops and significantly larger navy than they do.
Well, what I was getting at was, I mean, right now our entire naval fleet is deployed here in the Irish Sea, and we probably don't need our entire naval fleet to beat their fleet. Could we still be grabbing gold with some of our fleet being privateers?
Yes, we could. The risk there is, what if we get another war declaration on us and our navy is separated? Also, what if they somehow get a new ally or personal union fires?
Okay, so just for safety's sake for now.
Generally speaking, when you're at war, you want your navy to be together.
Okay.
And same thing with armies. You don't want to have a lot of armies all spread out. It's very easy to get a lot of wasted troops if you are not careful.
Okay.
So we'll unpause. We're going to engage them on the 18th of October. And we're going to go down to speed 2 here and wait till, bam, we have engaged in that province. So let's go ahead and click on that. Now you see we have 2 armies in the same province. They are they're hostile to each other, so they're going to engage in combat automatically.
Okay.
We have 12.9k versus 4.8k. You can see the morale bars. You can see the fire +1, terrain -1, that kind of stuff. Go ahead and click on the actual dialogue itself, and now you can see a provincial battle dialogue. Do you see it?
Oh, I think I dismissed the dialogue. Is there some way to get that back?
Just click anywhere on those 2 armies.
Okay.
You see in the bottom left-hand corner, there's now a Battle of Tyrone.
Yes.
All right, top left-hand corner. There's a little it's a white flag with a red cross through it.
Okay.
That is the retreat indicator. You may not retreat until October the 30th. It is
Okay.
not possible, nor would it be honorable, to retreat from a battle in the first 12 days. So, once 12 days have passed, you are allowed to retreat if you don't like the combat. But for 12 days, we are engaged, guaranteed, no matter what.
What are these little X's down here? The fire X's.
Those are our troops.
And hold on, sorry, just a second. Is there some way to turn off the noisy
No.
kind of... No.
You could lower all of your volume. You could go to game options, audio, and just lower, I think it'd be under effects.
All right. I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want to do it for the other effects, but okay, this is interesting. So this is the actual layout of the units in this battle?
Yeah, so you can see, okay, we've got 2 grids lined up against each other, right? We've got 5, they've got a total of 5 troops. They've got 4 X's and 1 slash. Slash represents cavalry, the X's represent infantry.
Okay.
Cannons would be at dots if they existed, if we had any artillery. So he's got 4 X's in the center with 1 cav on the right flank. We've got 5 infantry in the center with cavalry engaging on the flanks.
Okay.
So if you hover over any of those, you can actually see the engageable targets. Infantry have a flanking range of 1, which means they can engage the unit directly across from them, plus 1 flank or 1 tile to either side.
Okay.
You see those little...
Yeah, I see the boxes lighting up. Yep.
Cavalry have a default flanking range of 2, so that means that they can engage the unit directly in front of them, plus 2 tiles to either side. As the game goes on, they will get modifiers that increase their flanking range.
So why then, if I look, I see the back row can also engage?
Yep.
Why is there 1 guy off on the side, that 1 infantry? Why is he way off on the side, not able to engage anything, where there's a spot in the middle he could be engaging from?
Well, he's in the 2nd row, which means that he is actually not able to engage.
Oh, because when I mouse over the 2nd row on the other ones, it actually shows as it highlights the engagement on the other side.
Yep. If the infantry in front of him dies, he will move into the front line and then he will engage those targets.
Okay.
But he cannot move into the front line. If he moved, say, to the right of the existing cavalry, then he would not be able to flank far enough.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I just didn't understand that the 2nd row couldn't engage. But I still don't understand then why he'd be deployed. I assume we can't control the deployment, correct?
Nope, deployment's automatic.
So why is that 1 infantry on so far out? Why isn't he behind our other infantry to replace them? Especially in the center one that engages 3 of them.
He's trying to flank, but he can't.
Okay, got it.
If another army, let's say Leinster's army, moves in and joins the battle, they will fill the front line, and then we would want more infantry to engage on the sides of our cavalry.
Okay.
9 times out of 10, the back row is going to be comprised of artillery. Front row is going to be comprised of infantry and cavalry. But because we're in the early game and we don't have artillery, it's just a slog between infantry and cavalry.
Okay.
Okay, briefly here, let's talk about some of the numbers here. We've got, we're on the top. You can see our leader, Wallace. If you hover over his name, you can see his stats again, 225. We're fighting against a general named Torin O'Rife. He is a 1221. See what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Okay. So, remember how I talked about the game being based on a board game and dice rolls?
Yeah.
Every phase of combat, each phase of combat lasts 3 days. You start in the fire phase and you rotate. Fire phase, shock phase, fire phase, shock phase. Over and over and over again until the combat's over. Always fire first, always you're going to rotate back and forth. It'll never go double fire, never go double shock. It'll never start with shock. It's always fire. And they always last 3 days.
Okay.
Every combat phase, you get a D9. It's actually a D10 roll. So you can roll somewhere between 0 and 9. It's a random number that you get. And then beyond that, you get your modifiers to fire and terrain. We have +1 from fire because our guy is a 225. Their guy is a 122. So we have 1 extra fire pip over their general, which means in every single fire phase, we're going to get a +1 to the roll.
Okay.
2 minus 1 equals 1. Got it?
Yep.
In every single shock phase, we're going to have no modifier for either army because they have 2 shock, we have 2 shock.
Okay.
Maneuver doesn't factor in here at all, except for negating river crossings, and then we have the -1 because we're attacking him into the woods.
Okay.
Beyond that, we've got discipline, we've got morale and tactics. Bigger numbers are usually better. We are equal is what's important right now. 100% discipline versus 100% discipline. However, take a look at that morale. We have 2.86 morale. They only have 2.46. They have negative prestige. Remember how we've been like pushing to keep our prestige high? We hired the morale of armies guy. This is going to represent a significant numerical advantage. We're going to inflict more damage. We can fight for longer. And he's also entering the battle with far less morale than we are. He's actually only at 1.65 out of his maximum of 2.86. Well, 2.86 is ours. So
why does that number, the morale number, why is that not modified by the fact he's coming in at half morale? I mean, I see the bar that you can see the differences, but on the right with the trumpet, I don't see.
Yep. Hover over his morale on the bottom.
Yeah.
It says his maximum is 2.46. If you hover over the actual green bar at the center, though, he's currently at 1.65.
Mm-hmm.
So he came into the fight not fully like maintenanced up. His army was not ready to fight.
Yeah.
If it was, he would be at a current morale of 2.46, but he's only at 1.65. And our maximum of 2.86 is setting the overall bar higher. So we're going to crush him. We've got more morale, we do more damage, we can fight for longer, and we've got more men, and we're flanking.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and let a couple days pass here. So our first roll, by the way, we rolled a 4 versus his 3. So that's okay. The bigger the number is, the better. Okay. You can actually see every day, look at the numbers passing. We've just killed 140.
7 to 5.
Yeah, we just actually rolled a 7 minus 1 is 6 versus a 5.
Okay.
In the shock phase is where cavalry excel. So we're going to be doing a very good job here. And bam, stack wipe, he's already dead.
Wow, okay.
So it took like 8 days. His entire army has been wrecked. He's just destroyed. And the way that a stack wipe happens is if you can reduce their morale down to 0 within the first 2 phases of combat. So because he was not allowed to retreat, right?
Yeah.
The 12 days hadn't passed. We actually crushed his morale so fast that he got down to 0 before the 12 days had transpired, and so his army is just dead. Now we have the Battle of Tyrone summary. We've gained 1.56 prestige. We've gained 1 army tradition. We've also gained a little bit of war exhaustion because we lost some men. We lost 862 infantry. That's going to come out of our manpower pool to replenish over time. He lost prestige. He gained more army tradition than we did, which is supposed to represent the fact that you learn more from your mistakes than from your victories. And he gained 1 war exhaustion because we killed all of his men.
Okay. Did the general die with his army there, or does his general get out?
Nope, the general's fine.
Okay.
If he actually somehow gets another army, he'll still have that general.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to put in a cut here though, but that was very good. We're already done with that army. We're gonna want to go kill the Leinster army next and go from there.
Sounds good. See you guys soon.
See you in a bit. Thanks for watching.